guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I have a pretty entertaining post, which is titled, Good Men Scarcity Strikes MAGA. And a shout out to the guy that sent me this. I forgot to write your name down, but you know who you are. And guys, this post is written by a guy named Scott Greer. He's a journalist. This is coming from his Substack account. And he really addresses an interesting and entertaining issue about how, well, we all know darn well how picky, by and large, most women are, and how unrealistic they are with their standards they expect to get out of guys, blah, blah, blah. And ordinarily, that's more skewed towards the gals on the left. But the reality is, women are women. And it's no different than ones on the right in terms of their politics. And this guy, through his observations, things he's seen, observed, talked to, he's really addressing the conservative gals. And it's the same darn thing with them. And I believe he's covering the Washington, D.C. area, and that's more of his focus here. And it's the same darn thing. They want guys to be super, super conservative, all these things, and if they don't meet it, well, there's just no good men. And that'll be a funny one to go over here, guys, showing you that they're all the same in that regard, so don't think that it's just the ones on the left that are a giant pain in the ass. It's the same thing with the ones on the right. So it starts off, he says here, for years now, I've warned about the dire threat of good men scarcity, in spite of the apparent abundance of good women. There's a massive shortage of equally good men. It's driven female writers to write endless articles wondering where this endangered species is, and declare that modern men absolutely suck. Obviously, you can pick up his sarcasm here in the good men and good women and all that type of thing, because, of course, in the eyes of many, there's no good men out there, but hey, all the gals, we're all amazing. Well, this line is used to blame men for all the problems with dating and marriage, which is why I mock it. It ignores the larger socioeconomic and cultural forces at play that makes relationships worse. It also completely exculpates women's role in this sort of state of affairs. Let's just say claims of good women abundance are overstated. Isn't it amazing how they think they're all so wonderful and amazing? And don't get me wrong, there are some ones that are pretty darn good. And you have a lot that may look good on paper in terms of their degrees and accomplishments and everything. But at the end of the day, multiple degrees, high income, high status, that does nothing for a man's attraction for them. Okay, I mean, some men are attracted to that, and I can respect accomplishments, but to act like you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, acting like you're the freaking Queen of Sheba because you have all these accomplishments and degrees and all that, and if guys aren't on the same level, then they're all lowlives, it's ridiculous. Unironic claims of good men scarcity are primarily made by conservatives to attack men and are linked to the modern right's concerning trait of simping. Anti-men rhetoric isn't the exclusive pure purview of feminists. Plenty of conservatives are guilty of it as well, despite their alleged support for traditional social roles. In other words, usually you hear from the feminists and those that lean towards the feminist mindset about the lack of good men, but newsflash, the ones on the right do it too. Imagine my reaction to the Washington Post covering good men scarcity among DC's MAGA scene last week. The article almost reads like a satirical piece I would write. While the report does interview at least one man to provide the male perspective, it's primarily focused on the female perspective of MAGA dating. So, of course, they're going to focus primarily on the female perspective. The women are pissed off that the conservative men are neither sufficiently masculine nor sufficiently religious. As I described in previous podcasts and articles, these women working in the conservative movement often have unrealistic standards. The opening paragraph captures the unicorn man these women seek. Now, you got a lot of guys that babble on about unicorns and all that crap. Well, women do it too. I mean, at the end of the day, goes back to the jokes about them wanting and feeling entitled to the guys that are 6 feet tall, 6-figure income, 6-pack, throw in 6 inches or more down south, master's degrees, high level position. What else? Speaks 2 foreign languages. You can throw everything on the giant list of things, and you put just the height, the 6-pack thing, and the income together. What percentage of guys actually meet that? And it's like, okay, what do you bring to the table to feel like you're entitled to guys like that and pass on every other guy like they're a loser if they don't? It's nonsense. When Morgan Housley, 29, moved to Washington for her job in April. She has some non-negotiables for the conservative man that she was looking to date. According to her, he had to love the Lord, generally enjoy going to church, and be able to protect and provide emotionally, physically, spiritually, all those things. A fit, athletic man she could go on runs with. So far, Mr. Right has not materialized. So, again, it isn't just the ones on the left, feminist leaning, all that. The one on the right, same freaking thing. Someone can say, well, this is just one girl. Well, apparently, there were lots in this article. And as many of you guys are well aware, ones that date, relationships, or read enough content here, combined of it all, this is across the board. And the big question is, with her long line of things, what does she bring to the table? Instead, many of the single MAGA men she's seen are not fit, workaholics, and not taking finding a wife seriously. That may sound reasonable when put that way, but that's not quite how it works out. These women essentially want church mouse Glenn Powell, a very rare thing to find. The women interviewed, Morgan Housley, complains that the religious men are not manly enough for her standards, while the manly guys aren't religious enough. So in other words, no making her happy. Does this sound familiar? It does. She describes the horror story of finding out a guy she's dating isn't going to church enough. She dumped him. The article hilariously ends with Housley believing one of the National Guardsmen patrolling the Capitol may meet her stringent demands. If she finds the men in professional conservatism insufficiently religious, she's going to be in for a rude awakening with the norm of men in fatigues. So, again, no guy's good enough. We hear this all the time, and it's hilarious to me. And I know conservative women that it's the same darn thing as the more liberal women. And what they do is they in their mind, because they've been conditioned by society that they're so amazing and never ever settle, even though ultimately they do settle. And as they're being picky, waiting for that perfect Hallmark movie type of guy that doesn't exist, time goes on. Father time, you can't fight father time. And they get older and older. And next thing you know, those 20-somethings that are in their prime are in their 30s. It's not as easy anymore. And yet they still be picky and picky. Then they're in their late 30s. Then they're in their 40s. And they're crying because their prime is gone. And they don't have a family. And it's like, you did this to yourself. There were plenty of good guys out there, but they weren't good enough for you, Your Highness. I don't want to hear you crying. I know some women like this. Anyhow. And by the way, some people may say, who may stumble upon this channel and say, why do you care? Well, because as a man, and as a men's community, I am tired of being made out to be the bad guy, labeled a loser because of all this, and this. They bring this on themselves. Anyway, it says here, another woman interviewed shared similar complaints as Housley. Oh, big fucking surprise. It's extremely common among women you meet in these circles. Essentially, what they want is a very masculine guy, say a bro, who shares the exact same religious views and fervor as the woman. That's a tough task. The bros aren't really going to church and are an uncommon type within conservative circles. Most of the guys in conservatism, especially the religious ones, are nerdier than their ideal, and women suspect some of them are closet cases. The women will dump guys over them being in a different denomination, and the suspicion they might not share the same enthusiasm for church. See? The perfect guy, unicorn, doesn't exist. It's a fucking myth. And who perpetuates that myth? We all know that. The article illustrates the delusional thinking among this particular demographic. All the women are perfect and don't need to change anything. There's no pondering if the woman might have an unpleasant personality, need to work out more, or is too homely to think she deserves her unicorn. Yeah, these ones, and again, I'm acquainted with, know some gals like this, they think they're the greatest thing in the world, God's gift to the world. And yeah, they may look good for their age, and may have been darn good looking in their prime in the 20s, but at the end of the day, everybody has flaws. I don't care who you are. It's the men who need to radically change to be worthy of a second date with them. He needs to be absolutely perfect upon first encounter. Potential issues that could easily be resolved are practically hate crimes against the woman in question. There's no need to be reasonable or accommodating. This thinking ultimately encourages misandry. It's understandable that people want their significant other to share the same values, but many of these women take it to irrational extremes. Exactly. It's similar to how leftist women police the views of their boyfriends. If the guy laughed at a harmless joke they considered sexist, the woke woman would break up with them. How many times have you guys seen posts and TikToks and stuff of these silly women doing that? They're breaking up with their guy because they differ over politics or just some little thing, stuff like that. But the funny thing is, and a lot of these gals, because they're in their... Think about this. You're a young gal, you're in your 20s, you're prime, you're good looking. You have guys constantly bombarding you with attention, simping for you, which guys do. They have the idea like, hey, I can replace you in a heartbeat because I'm that amazing. You know, men are really to blame for the attitudes that a lot of these women have. Because if guys weren't simping for them like that, bombarding with attention and validation and all that, and rolling out the red carpet for them, it wouldn't be as bad. You don't have that as much when a woman's in her 40s or 50s. These type of stories were common grist in the 2010s and 2020s. In fact, reports on the dating woes of young DC conservatives in the first Trump administration centered on this dynamic. In one 2018 article, the men complained about their dates interrogating them about their political views to determine that they were sufficiently liberal and feminist. I've been on some of those, and I never hide who I am, you know? I mean, I don't deliberately get into drama about these things, but if I'm asked, I'll say what I think. It hasn't always worked out well, and I don't give a shit. Their right-leaning views made them pariahs on the dating market. Now the theme is that these men aren't meeting the delusional standards of the young conservative women. Millennial women forcing their boyfriends to stand with trans rights and Black Lives Matters is one of the reasons we got peak woke. Sounds about right. Woke women, like pretty much all women, wanted traditionally masculine guys to date. They didn't actually want to date the soy boys that fully agree with them. But the bros they wanted were less likely to put up with their woke inquisition, forcing them to date effeminate men who would proudly wear I Stand With Her shirts. I've covered so many articles about that, about these women these leftist women, the feminist types, and they want manly men, but they also want the woke guys. Well, that doesn't work that way. You're not going to have manly men that are the woke guys, you know, and they're going to agree with them and wear the I Stand With Her shirts and that type of crap and go to the women's marches. You know, those guys are the soy boys with the skinny jeans and eat avocado toast. And you get the point. I'm sure there's some tough guys that might have an avocado toast on occasion, but you know what I mean. Women involved in conservative politics operate in a similar way when they expect their man to share the exact same views as themselves. See? Many of these women also seem to be deeply repulsed by normal male sexuality. This was exemplified by one popular podcast arguing that real men don't need sex and husbands should be more like priests. These attitudes drive away the men they want to date. You know what? Let this attitude they have drive the men away. Because these same gals that are on the conservative side that are trying to give off the idea that they're the better of the group, let them screw things up. They'll be whining and complaining on TikTok in 6 years. This is something to good men scarcity in general society. Conservatives blame it on video games and porn, believing it's all a result of the individual men. While porn is the problem, it's more of a symptom of a dysfunction rather than a cause. Men are falling behind in American society. Fewer young men are going to college or doing really anything to ensure they obtain a stable income to raise a family. Well, I got no problem with fewer men going to college, because guess what? College is a giant ripoff. And guess what? The real demand in the future is going to be for trades. AI can't replace the plumber, or the HVAC guy, or the electrician, or many, many, many other type of things here. A lot of guys aren't going to college because it's not worth it. The trade is where it's going to be. I've seen so many articles about it. I should probably do some articles like that. How there's going to be a big shortage. There already is a shortage. And therefore, supply and demand, the more of a shortage you have for tradesmen, the more they're going to get paid. Remember that, young guys. Meanwhile, young women are advancing further than ever before in society, giving them high incomes, power, and independence. The vast majority of women want to marry a guy of at least similar status and income. Yeah, at least. But they still feel like they're settling and got a raw deal if the guy they get is equal. They want a guy that's higher up. That's when they feel like they've gotten something of value because they're so amazing. They deserve that. Sarcasm. That's much harder to do now. The smaller number of high-status men are less inclined to settle down, and they have a wealth of options. The large number of high-achieving, reasonably attractive women are less inclined to settle for whatever they can get if they think that they can obtain one of the rare chads. Thus, dating becomes a mess for both men and women. See? Same thing, both the left and the right. Losing my voice here, guys. Bear with me. I filmed a lot of videos earlier today. Things, however, are a bit different within the DC conservative scene. First, there are more men than women, negating the usual dynamic of major metros, where there are more young, conservative, educated women than young, college-educated men. These are guys with conservative values who generally want to start families and are more than willing to go to church than the average normie. But they do not meet the church mouse Glen Powell ideal, thus the women are encouraged to loathe them. This is rich when the women aren't Hollywood starlets themselves. Thank you. Again, what do they look like? What do they bring to the table? Many of them don't work out and are extremely unpleasant to be around. But the older married men and women tell them they're perfect 10s and say all their problems are due to men. Simping is a cancer on the right. Well, yeah, again, you don't hear many that actually admit that they're the problem or have something wrong with them. Nope. It's always the guy's fault. It's nonsense. There are legitimate concerns about the state of young men and dating in general, but the loudest voices making a fuss about this often base it on their own unrealistic standards, and it quickly descends into men bashing, hence the need for mockery of good men scarcity claims. Complaints about dating aren't going anywhere, and they're going to grow even more crazy in the years to come, but we probably should not let Con Incorporated dictate our view on it. It's legitimate for a woman to complain that she can't find a man with a steady job, or one without substance abuse issues. It's another thing to lump those serious issues alongside those of DC conservatives, of DC conservative women failing to find their unicorn. People will always have standards, but it's not wise to embolden delusions. Amen. I got no problem with certain things, you know. I mean, okay, she wants a guy to be employed or have an income. I got no problem with that. She wants a guy to be not abusing substance. I got no problem with that. She wants a guy that, you know, is not morbidly obese. I got no problem with that. But when there's a bazillion different things on the checklist, she wants a guy 6 feet tall, but if a guy who's 5'11" is great, she turns him down. That's ridiculous. If a guy works out and goes to the gym, takes care of himself, looks better than most people out there, but he doesn't have a six-pack, but he's darn fit, nope, not good enough. It's ridiculous. I can go on and on. So guys, at the end of the day, it goes both ways. Don't think that just because a girl's conservative and traditional, that, oh, she's not going to have the same nonsense that a lot of the lefties that I typically poke fun at. It's the same darn thing. And they are their own worst enemies. So, guys, there you go. That'd be a good one to go over here. So, again, the guy, what the hell's the guy's name again? His name is Scott Greer. I'll post a link to the article if you like the guy and the stuff that he talks about. Maybe you want to subscribe, check him out more. Give a shout out to Scott. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. I'm sure you like the video. Share it with your friends and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.